Oh, we gave it the big build-up. Come on, boys.
There you go. And
Robert, you require 124.
Thornton wants the full side for the match.
Gavin, you require 25.
25 for Plainter to deliver the match. Ops for 9 to leave double 8.
Yeah, that's game short in the forward line.
A good shot there from Kevin Plainter. 2 apiece.
Could literally go one better. Well, he could actually finish this on 2 doubles. He could go tops and then bull. And that's what he was trying to do.
71.
Seems to have this strange ability to read Kevin Painter's mind, you know.
20.
Is that a good thing?
Well, I can tell you what he's thinking now.
As
Robert Thornton wins the opening match of this double trouble week, and we saw some of that at the start of the game. Painter trying to produce a party piece finish at the end, but it is Robert Thornton who gets the victory. The pair of them having a debrief as they depart the stage. There are the stats. Now, those averages are obviously going to be deflated by all the missed doubles at the start of the legs throughout this week's events. But the finishing was fine from Kevin Painter. If you can get that kind of doubling at the start of legs, then he could be a danger. But it's Robert Thornton who picks up the first points. And coming next, it's Neil Duff against Steve Brown. Well, Duff has managed to turn this around, or has he? That's timely, that, from Steve Brown.
180. Neil, you require 80.
Single to double combination.
40.
And
Steve, you require 100.
Doubling woes for Duff.
Looking for double-double. Oh,
Game
and
shot,
he gets it for the match. Tops.
Brown.
To topple Neil Duff, Steve Brown gets a victory by 3 legs to 1. And that is a really good start. Steve Bomber Brown. That finish of 100. 2 tops to get the job done. A maximum in there for Steve Brown as well. Finished much better than Neil Duff, who really struggled at the end of legs. Just look at that, just 1 out of 12 on the outer ring towards the end of legs, which is why Brown has picked up the points in that one. So he gets a win, so does Robert Thornton. It's Jim McKuen against Mark Dubridge coming up after this short break.
Jim, you require 40.
Favourite double to get the job done.
Game
shot, McKuen does do exactly that. Chucky checks out and defeats Dubridge with a really good performance. Dubridge only had 1 dart double at the end of legs in that game. McKuen, excellent, 60% on the outer ring at the end, was pretty good getting in as well. And in a double start format, a 92.77 average is more than respectable. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's a flying start from Jim McKuen. Up next, it's a couple of players who are still to get off the mark, losing their first match today. Kevin Painter will take on Neil Duff. You can't help but enjoy watching him, but you're enjoying him not enjoying something. You won't enjoy this if Neil Duff hits double 10, which he does.
Game short in the forward line. Neil Duff.
Yeah, it does feel slightly voyeurist, doesn't it? That we're just kind of... Oh, yeah, and the doubling woes. Now, Kevin Painter, 2 from 12, 16%. More match-winning opportunities now for Neil Duff.
That was almost in the double 15. It would have bust. And that's nowhere near double 5. And Kevin Painter's face will be a picture because Neil Duff has thrown 2 really bad darts at double. Let's be honest about that. But then he does somehow manage to find double 5 to get over the line, defeating the artist 3-2. Yeah, still needs a bit of practice, a bit of sharpening up, Neil Duff. But he has done enough to beat Kevin Painter, who missed half a dozen darts for that match. Duff picks up some points. Mark Dubridge in action next. He takes on Robert Thornton. Yeah, I know a lot of people have spoken about pairs formats and stuff. I just don't know if it would quite work.
93. Robert, you require 60.
Tell you what does work for Robert Thornton, double top. And he finds it to win the match. 3-1 against Mark Dubridge. So, king of double start in this week, Robert Thornton, former World Grand Prix champion, is staking his claim to be the double trouble champion. 2 wins from 2 for the Thorn, and he's really doing well at getting in at the start of legs. Again, a very, very impressive performance, an average of 92.76. If that was just a straight start form, what you're looking at around the 100 average mark. So really, really good stuff for the Thorn, who sees off Dubridge 3-1. Coming next, Steve Brown takes on Jim McKuen.
You require 62.
Choices here. Yeah, double 4. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's game short on the 4th.
An absolutely exceptional leg from Jim McKuen. 14 darter. You could see him behind Jim McKuen there, just hitting himself in the head, basically.
131.
That's a really good setup, though, to pile the pressure on. Now, McKeown's got a choice to make here. Could have gone the bull route and played it safe, but he's attacked, he's gambled, and it's paid off. For 2 darts at his favourite double.
54.
Oh, he's missed.
Steve, you require 40.
Both attempts. Back comes Brown.
Game shot and a match.
And that time, Steve Brown does see off the challenge from Jim McKuen. He wins 3 sets to 2, and yeah, I think he was quite pleased with that result at the end, dancing around there on the oche. Really did up his game throughout that. Steve Brown did that with an average around 77, 3 from 7 on the outer ring, and Jim McKuen 83 average, but still wasn't enough to see the victory through. Well, coming up next after a short break, we have Kevin Painter, and he takes on Mark Dubridge.
Now Painter's happy, or he will be if he can pop in tops.
6.
Fails to take advantage.
Mark, you require 2.
Now he's really chased the double all around the board, Mark Dubridge. He's 2 from 16 on the outer ring, but this time he does find the intended target. Little skip on the oche there for Flash, but he is the 3-1 win over Kevin Painter. Does resign Kevin to the bottom of the table. Only player not to yet have got a win. The averages there not quite at the level that they would have wanted, but it's that trouble that they've had on the outer ring. Painter 1 from 6, Dubridge 3 from 17, and most of them coming in that winning leg, but it's the result Dubridge wanted in the end. It's 3-1 over Painter. And coming up next, we've got Neil Duff, and he takes on Jim McKuen.
Neil, you require 142.
Quarter of his flight was maybe a distraction, giving the illusion that the bed was blocked. And Neil Duff here may pick his pocket. And how?
That's game short
wow,
of the second lap.
What a check out. 1-4-2 after McKuen had just missed 3 darts at double. Well, it's better doing it with the first dart because you can still rescue it. And he tries to do that on double 2.
8.
Oh,
Jim, you require
bit of aggression
20.
there from Neil Duff.
Yeah, and I can understand why. After going 2 from 2 on the outer ring, he's now missed 9 for the match.
No score.
But again, hasn't really cost him. Jim McKuen in the wrong double.
You require 2. Game shot and a match.
Yeah, and this time Neil Duff does seal the victory. It is our first 3-0 win of the session so far. Jim McKuen has ruined those couple of chances he had towards the tail end of the match, but for Neil Duff, excellent start. Big finishes, a 130 and a 142. Bit of trouble towards the end, but got it done in eventually. Well, coming up next to come back as we have some more exciting action for you. You know what he's thinking, what he's feeling, especially if he's not happy with the visit.
Dubridge keeps coming from nowhere, doesn't he?
Neil, you require 128.
Duff looks in control of this leg. Now he's got to hope that Mark Dubridge doesn't mop up 113.
72. Mark, you require 113.
No, it's been the element of his game that hasn't been quite so accurate, but Needs tops for a 3-0 win.
Game shots.
There it is. That's perfection towards the end there from Mark Dubridge. 180 followed by a 113 to see him beat Neil Duff 3 legs to 0. Average there as well. 86.71 there for Mark Dubridge. Neil Duff 85. They're good numbers, but Neil Duff just the one chance at a double. He was denied any more from a very strong Mark Dubridge. And to join.
But this has actually been a really good performance.
He's been solid throughout. Now needs double 12 for the match.
77.
Can't quite convert it, but Kev Painter's finding his way all the way back on 366. All he can do is look on.
134. Steve, you require 24.
So, double 12,
Game
and there it is.
And a match.
A
Steve
breeze for Brown to pick off Painter, who remains bottom of the pile without a point to his name. Brown's a very happy man after that display. He defeats Painter in straight legs, 3-0. And it was a decent performance as well. 88.41 the average. 3 out of 5 to win legs on doubles. That's 60%. Timely 180 in there as well. And he leaves Painter in a perilous position with no points from 4. And we do have 4 games left to come. Painter won't play again until the very last of them. He's going to face Jim McKuen then. McKuen in action after the break in an all-tartan tungsten tussle against Robert Thornton. Thornton has a chance to stay in this. Oh, there's one. Yes, Robert. Another. Oh, absolutely superb from Robert Thornton.
Going the same route. There's one. Needs a second.
Oh, wow.
Game shot.
Well, revenge is served up by Chucky Jim McKuen. Nothing sweeter than a repeater. Robert Thornton with a tops checkout to stay in the game. And then Jim McKuen served up 100 in exactly the same fashion to win the match 3-1. And they were 100% on their doubles to win legs in that match. In fact, you might have Jim McKuen 4 out of 3 there because of that tops finish. Brilliant game of darts, but it is McKuen who sees off Thornton, who loses for the first time in this group. They'll both be back in the last couple of matches, but next up, it's Steve Brown against Mark Dubridge.
Mark, you require 110.
Well, that 140 puts Dubridge 110 points away from a victory. Now he needs tops.
90. Steve,
Great reaction there from Mark Dubridge. He knew that was close, but it does go the way of Steve Brown. It's 3 legs to 2 in favour of Stephen. Yeah, again, you can see how much he's enjoying it up there. Enjoyed the win and great camaraderie between the 2 players. Ended up Steve Brown with an average of just under 80 at 79.55. Mark Dubridge 76.30. Not much to split them. 30% on the finishes for Steve Brown, 28 for Dubridge, but it's that end result that counts, and it's 3-2 to Steve. Well, coming up next, we've got Robert Thornton, and he faces Duffman Neil Duff.
I just said, Robert, yeah, well, the organisers must have expected you all to miss a lot more darts at double. Has to rescue this. Double 11 to do so. Oh, not only has he missed it, he's busted it.
Robert, you require 98.
Yeah, for a moment there, Robert Thornton, in his previous throw, was so disgusted, I thought he was going to walk off the stage.
Yeah, that's game short in a second.
Rights that wrong.
Robert Thornton.
2 dart 98 checkout. And just clattered into that top dart.
So double 10.
60. Robert
Thornton 20. To make it 4 from 5. Absolutely exceptional day for him. He will be level at the top of the table with Steve Brown come the end of play, whatever happens in the final match. Jim McKuen trying to close the gap to the top 2, but Robert Thornton with another average in the 90s sees off Neil Duff with ease. 3-0. One more match to come then, and it's whether or not Kevin Painter can pick up any points that is the question. He is up against Chucky, Jim McKuen.
And hope that Jim McKuen misses once again.
Jim, you require 20. Game shot.
And he doesn't miss once again.
Jim McKuen.
Kevin Painter loses once again. It is 5 defeats from as many matches from the artist who will go back to the drawing board for tomorrow. Jim McKuen, however, he will be pretty happy with his day's work. It is 3 wins, 6 points, and that keeps him just 2 off the top 2, Steve Brown and Robert Thornton, as McKuen ends the day by beating Kevin Painter by 3 legs to 0. Yeah, it wasn't that bad, was it, Laura? Double trouble. No trouble for some of the players, but one player in big trouble, Kevin Painter, after that one.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind session, hasn't it? The shorter format, the element of doubles, but yeah, it just hasn't gone the way of Kevin Painter today, and you could see that frustration building throughout today. Started quite well, unlucky, a couple of 3-2 defeats, but ended on a couple of 3-0 losses as well. So yeah, lots of work to do tomorrow for Kevin Painter. Yeah,
let's have a full look at all 15 results from today then. Here they are. Robert Thornton got off to a really good start, as did Steve Brown, and they both ended up winning 4 matches each. As we mentioned, Kevin losing all of his games. But let's talk about the player that he lost to in that last one, because he's the one in the middle of that. 6 points for Jim McKuen. You said in our chat earlier on that he's the one that's sort of below the surface, ready to make a move, and it looks like he is ready to pounce.
Yeah, I do believe so. I think he was unlucky to have that 3-0 loss against Neil Duff. Neil Duff pulled out a 130 checkout, a 142 checkout, and then saw out the match eventually. So he probably found himself a bit unlucky there. And against Steve Brown, who we spoke about, his timing today, Steve Brown, was impeccable. Then his play became exceptional, which is why he's sat on 8 points. But yeah, Jim, I think he's just one of the movers. Just started to pick everything up, and the games that he's lost today, he's either been well beaten because the opponents played better, or he's just been very unlucky with timing.
Yeah, one of the games he won was one of the best games we've seen today, and one of the best endings to a game. And I think it's worth seeing again when Robert Thornton and Jim McKuen did battle, the way that they ended that match. Thornton staying in it with a fantastic double-double finish. And it is in his DNA to do stuff like this. McKuen was waiting on 40 for the match, so when Thornton does this, you think that could really hurt Jim McKuen. But then in the very next leg, he does the very same thing to win it.
Yeah, and you could actually see Jim McKuen when that dart was going in, shaking his head. But it's very much a case of anything you can do, I can do too. And it probably would have been, I mean, it was poetic at the end. We quite enjoyed it. I'm sure Robert Thornton didn't enjoy it, but from a viewer's point of view and for us in the commentary box, it was fantastic.
It really was. Let's talk about Steve Brown as well, because he is the man at the top of the table, level on points, slightly better leg difference. He's played some really good stuff today. I think the way that we put it in comms was that earlier came the results, later came the performances.
Yeah, and I have to agree 100%. He's just kind of grown in confidence. It was interesting hearing him speak that he's a confident person anyway, but you know, he wouldn't in his wildest dreams have thought he'd be leaving here with 8 points. But it's great to see him up on the oche. He's enjoying it. He said himself he probably hasn't had the best level of preparation. That being said, it was interesting. He does play in a double start league, which is one leg, which I don't think you can get any more cutthroat than that, to be fair. So, you know, he's putting all of those experiences to good use and, yeah, top of the table.
Yeah, enjoying it, as you said. Let's talk about the other couple of players in the group, Mark Dubridge and Neil Duff. We'll start with Flash, because I think he's kind of been in and out, hasn't he, today? Yeah, I think you could probably say the same for both. It's been those levels of consistency, taking the chances when they actually do come up. He's one of those players, isn't he? You know he's got this in his locker. It's just finding it on a regular basis. But good 3-0 victory over Neil Duff, which kind of shows the inconsistencies that we've had with Neil Duff as well. He's been up and down, but, you know, they've got points on the board. That's the most important thing. Yeah, and Duff, we know that he can really have brilliant days. We've seen him do it here before at the Super Series, but just didn't look massively comfortable all the time. I mean, there were some moments like this where he looked brilliant, but he was getting in that Thornton painter mindset of beating himself up sometimes. Yeah, and I think they're 3 players that you will hear them be vocal, you will hear them tear themselves off. They are very, you know, they wear their emotions on their sleeve, and we spoke about it as well. You can't really let that happen too often, because then you take away those negative comments, they're kind of taken away from the game. So if you can get over that and hopefully push forward, I imagine to see a better version of Neil Duff, a more consistent version of Neil Duff tomorrow, because we've seen flashes of brilliance, but just not the consistency. Yeah, and it is all about consistency, which is hard to get in this format. Let's take a look at the table at the end of day 1. And the 2 players that found that consistency are Steve Brown and Robert Thornton. Jim McKuen ready to pounce, but Mark Dubridge and Neil Duff, the 2 players we've talked about, certainly not out of it in terms of winning the group. No, absolutely not. They've all kind of put themselves, barring Kevin, in a good position, really. I think Mark Dubridge, Neil Duff, they may have thought a couple of the other results could have gone their way, but I think they'll be happy with the way they've played to have picked up a couple of wins. But yeah, for me, you know, it's those 2 at the top and Jim in that chasing position. I think they're the 3 that are really going to be pushing forward over the next couple of days and vying for that Group A and automatic qualification to Saturday. Yeah, it's supposed to be an unpredictable format, but has anything or anyone surprised you today? No, I don't think so. Like you say, I think we were expecting the things, the twists, turns, and we've seen a few of those. I think maybe the consistency from Dubridge and Duff, you know, that surprised me at times, and then they show these moments of brilliance. So if that can be addressed, then I think actually it's going to be quite tight. But from what I've seen so far, those top 3, they're running the risk of running away with it. And have you seen enough from anyone to really give you confidence to pick a winner of this group? Ooh, yeah, I'm torn. I'll be honest. I'm torn between Brown and Thornton, just from what I've seen today. But they've got to replicate it tomorrow, and then they've got to replicate it Wednesday. So, you know, and you've got a wounded Kevin Painter coming back, which can be quite dangerous. So very hard to predict. But for me, it's going to be one of those 2 based on what I've seen today. I see what you're doing there, doubles week. So you pick 2. It's fair enough, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Right, we'll do it all again tomorrow. Do join us 9:30am for the second day of Double Trouble, live and exclusive on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel.